Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
You're on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel and give this video a like.
Also, check out the podcast below in the description. We talk a lot of 49ers, talk a lot of NFL. We got you covered. Subscribe in the description right now. Podcast down there.
Let's hear from Nick Bosa, John.
I feel like I'm by far in the best shape that I've ever been. I don't look much different because we don't train to bodybuild. We train to play football, and I think it'll show.
Can you identify with that?
I'm the complete opposite. Worst shape of my life.
I think everybody watching is probably the best shape of their life right now. What are you talking about?
I know.
I love that because he was a man-child last year, an immediate NFL superstar. But he explained it, and he's right. He was injured coming in to the NFL, at least getting ready to come into the NFL. Then he had to fly all over the place, get ready for the NFL draft. That hurts your preparation. Then he became a 49er, hurt his hammy early in camp, and then had his ankle rolled up on him. So when he says, I'm in the best shape of my life, it's not, well, last year I was in the best shape of my life, and now I'm in the best shape of my life again. It's last year I had 9.5 sacks, was one of the best defensive players in the NFL, and I had an offseason that is absolutely not conducive to being your best self. And he's right.
I'm gonna take 2 L's on the Bosa brothers. I thought Joey Bosa was overdrafted. Took a big L on that one. I would have taken Quinn Williams over Nick Bosa. Big L on that one. I think both guys proved something pretty immediate in their careers. Joey held out. And remember at the time it was like, hold out. This isn't 2007. These are slotted picks. Held out, missed 4 games, kicked ass when he came. I mean, like 3 games in, it was like, okay. Nick, I was just always hurt guy. Hurt in college. And then they draft him. I'm at practice during OTAs, pulls his hammy on the first snap of the D-line group, like their first padded practice. And I get it was a freak deal, but still the freak deal happened to him. I was like, I'm out on this guy. By about game 3, I'm like, is this the best rookie I've ever seen? The Bosa brothers are unfazed by weird things happening. And I expect big things out of Nick, man, because last year, injured in college, has to quit the season, right, to just try to get healthy. Who knows if he would have even been able to come back for Ohio State season. And then how crazy it is when you're that highly of a touted guy flying around meeting with different people. And really his entire offseason and training camp wiped out by a hamstring and a high ankle sprain. So he had no prep going into 2019. Now, he had help because his team was really good. Like, his unit was really good. But by midseason, he was clearly the best player on that unit. And that unit guy included a guy that got traded for the 13th overall pick, now makes $21 million a year. Another guy that now makes $17 million a year, who's still his teammate, who, Eric. And then D Ford, who gets hurt a lot, but when he's on the field, I think we all agree is a great pass rusher, and he makes a ton of money.
I think we take for granted that his brother is Joey, right? Like, if Joey Bosa was Joey Miller, you know what we'd say? Oh, my God, Joey Miller and Nick Bosa are spending the last 6 months working out together every day. That has to be incredible for those guys working off of each other. But we don't even think about it because they're brothers and whatever. They just grew up together. But this guy has every reason. I mean, look, whatever.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. If it was like
does.
Khalil Mack and Von Miller spent the summer together,
yes.
Like, oh, my God. Can you imagine what they're teaching each other?
I mean, now, you remember when Vaughn hit the NFL streets, I mean, he came out with 11.5 sacks and then 18.5 sacks. Khalil felt like a 9.5 sack rookie year. It just, the number didn't reflect it. In fact, there were some people after Khalil's rookie year that were like, will Khalil ever be able to get sacks? And we watched every snap and said, yes, just wait. Now, that wasn't predicting that he'd go from 4 to 15, but I mean, I think a lot of people watched Nick last year, and it's hard to look at him and go, well, just wait till next year when he's much better. But he's saying, I'm going to be better this year.
I think the standard, you bring up all these names, Vaughn, Khalil, Joey, Nick, and now I think Chase is going to fall in this. The standard is really, really high for these edge rushers over the last 7-8 years, right? They get drafted in the top 5, have come in to not just be really good players. I mean, Von Miller, Hall of Famer, Khalil's headed that way. I mean, Joey sure's on a trajectory that way, and I think we all agree. What I think is the most fun part about Nick is what Michael Jordan say, the ceiling is the roof. I mean, it's how good can this guy be, right? Can this guy be a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year winner? Because remember when J.J. Watt really kind of hit the scene and became J.J. Watt? I think he won 3 out of 4 years, and it was just clear he's like the best player. And I think kind of Aaron Donald's doing that right now, where it's just like he's the best defensive lineman in the league. Khalil had a moment, then he kind of fell off. I think he can get it back. But could Nick have like wins 2 Defensive Players Year awards in 4 years or something like that? Like I think he has that much talent. The key with all these guys to be a great defensive lineman guy, to me, is always you got to be a freak. You got to be 6'3", 6'4", strength, all the bullshit. Your motor has to be elite. And when you think Vaughn, when you think Joey, when you think Khalil, I'll throw Aaron in there even though he wasn't a top 5 pick. And now with Nick, I just think these guys, whenever they never stop playing hard. Because if you're that talented and you're like, oh yeah, LeBron James, he plays the hardest on the floor. Well, yeah, he's going to kick your ass. With that, by the end of the year, Nick's like making plays in coverage. It's like he's running guys down. I didn't realize his motor was that elite, guy, because his motor was top notch.
I think the other thing is to become talked about that way, you do it in big games. Like you think about Vaughn and you think about Broncos fans would have a million things they would say, right? But when they won their Super Bowl, they beat New England. He had 2.5 sacks, and then they beat Carolina. He had 2.5 sacks in that game. You go back and look at Nick. Nick had 9.5 sacks.
Pretty good two-game stretch when you're a free agent.
He had 9.5 sacks in the regular season. He had 4 sacks in 3 playoff games. You know a lot of people on the Chiefs. Their quarterback's great. Their offensive line's good. Their play caller's fantastic. Like they know how to game plan. They had 2 weeks to game plan. Did they think Nick Bosa was easy to play against?
He thought he was the best player on the field.
So
and he was beside Mahomes toward the end of the game. Like it was clear, best player on the field. That's a great point, guy. In their three playoff games, like individual games for the Niners, I think when you bring up NFC Championship, we know what Raheem Mostert's agent would say. Well, he's worth $10 million off that game alone. Like it doesn't work that way. What Nick did off the 3 playoff games, the 4 sacks, I don't even think those numbers do it justice.
No.
He was everywhere, making plays in coverage, plays against the run. He dominated. He was the best player on the field for 3 straight games. 3 straight games, beside the 7-minute stretch from Patrick Mahomes. But top start to finish, this guy, like, what else do I need to know about him? Like, he's a championship level player. I already know that about him after year 1. He can play the best teams in the NFC. He can play the Chiefs, and he's immediately a top 2 or 3 player on the field. And beside George Kittle, like to me, he's clearly like who are the Niners' best players? George Kittle, Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Then it's like, then we'll just have there's another tier. I think I heard this. Russillo was like the top 100 should be Patrick Mahomes and then 99.
Yeah.
To me, the 49ers is like George Kittle, Nick Bosa, and then let's argue.
Right? 15 sacks?
That feels a little high. Because
14 and a half.
I would say like 13 and a half.
Okay.
Don't you think he is going to get overwhelmed with double teams and chips? But that's what happened to Khalil, and he just battled through it, and that's what happens to Vaughn. It's what happens to great players. I bet Joey would say that happens. Like he's already talking to him.
Yeah.
That's his advantage. Like Joey's like, this is what you do when they bring this guy and hit you to the side. You give him this little kick move. You're right. If it was just, Nick Bosa spent the summer with Khalil Mack, we'd be like, holy shit. But you're just like, yeah, Joey, of course they did. They're brothers. Yeah.
What do they do? Play video games all day? No, they worked out.
That guy just got, $102 million guaranteed, $27 million a year. That's the guy he spent the summer with. You're right. That does not get talked about enough. I even just like, oh yeah, of course they're just hanging out at home.
I think we all take it for granted. All right, let us know what you think about this video. How many sacks for Nick Bosa? Best shape of his life? Are you in the best shape of your life?
Like the video.